Hello, today I am here to bring you the first review in the Bluemoose books section of my independent published series. The first book I read was The Less Than Perfect Legend of Donna Creosote by Dan Micklethwaite. As I said in my main video where I spoke about the books I would be reading, this is the one that I've heard the most about, especially this year. It's sort of cropped up on a few people's channels. I think Mercedes has spoken about it, I know Simon spoke about it, and I'm pretty sure Jen spoke about it as well. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this by now. Everyone has been quite negative about this book, especially I think Mercedes absolutely hated it, if I recall rightly. So I went into it really skeptically, and I'm glad I did. I gave it 3 stars overall. I don't think it was awful, I don't think it was great. So firstly, I'll tell you what this is about. This follows a girl called Donna Quick Oakley, and she's very obsessed with reading. Everything about her life is books. Her apartment is surrounded in books. The floor in her bedroom is quite literally a pile of books, and she reads a lot, and she kind of hides from society and she hides from life by reading and by escaping into fantasy worlds. Now, when I first spoke about this, I kind of thought that it was a fantasy book in itself, but it's not. It's very realist. It's simply the fantastical stuff is completely happening in Donna's head. And basically she starts almost unwinding, I suppose. The first sort of sign that something's really seriously wrong is when she randomly decides to become a knight from one of her fairy tales and puts on a frying pan on her head and a baking tray as an outfit and goes out into the street. We then realise that she's drinking quite heavily and she's not talking to her mum. She's having quite a string of unhealthy relationships with men. And it kind of just looks at the point where she gets to a stage where she wants to change things and she wants to improve her life by taking inspiration from the books that she loves so much. Now, the reason that I didn't hate this is because I think it's very easy to read. I think for somebody who loves reading, it's quite relatable, especially with some of the descriptions about how much she gets an escapist kick from her reading. I thought that was really quite lovely, and for the first 15 pages especially, I was really enjoying this. Until Donna decides to dress as a knight and go out into the street. Now, the reason that that bothered me was because, as I say, this is a very realist novel. Donna's thought process is, though unhealthy, quite straightforward. But to just decide to go out into the street dressed as a knight, it just didn't really work for me. So instantly I kind of was on my guard and thought that that was just ridiculous. And to be fair, it did improve. That's the only really bizarre thing that she does in this book. The reason that I didn't love this overall is because I think I'm surprised it's being published, I'm not going to lie, because there's no real character arc. Like, Donna is not the best person. She's really quite selfish. Her drinking for the most part goes unexplained. I mean, obviously you get the feeling that she's really lonely and that she's kind of looking for an escape, but it's kind of glossed over. It's not dealt with as a serious issue. The fact that she's drinking sort of 2 bottles of wine to herself each night is not really discussed as much as I think it probably should be. And also, she kind of just doesn't learn anything during this novel. She doesn't improve in any way. She doesn't have an epiphany. She just kind of continues to use people and drink. And I don't know, I just feel like this kind of lacked any real plot line, to be honest. I liked the characterisation, and as I say, it was really easy to read. I read this in about 2-3 hours. It's not got a great deal of writing to the page, and a lot of it is sort of long conversations that she has with her partner. So I wouldn't say I despised this as much as a lot of people seem to have, although I think that it helps a lot that I went into this kind of expecting it to be a bit dodgy. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best start for the Bluemoose books. I think especially coming from the Salt books where all of them were such a high standard. This, as I say, I'm very surprised that it was actually published in its current format. So I'm kind of a bit nervous about going into the other Bluemoose books, but hopefully they'll be better than this one. I haven't heard any other negative things about the books I've got, though, as I say, this is the only one that I've heard an excessive amount about. But I would probably say read it if you're really into books about readers. And it did have some strong points, and the writing was fine. It was literally just the overall essence of it. Nothing really came of it, and I feel like in order for Donna to be an understandable character, she had to have some kind of learning curve, and she didn't. She continued to be quite, frankly, unpleasant. But anyway, so there's that one. Please let me know down below if you've read this, what you thought, and I will see you next time. Bye.